Welcome to today's post. Together, we will explore a surprising and thought-provoking story about a journey beyond the boundaries of life. This is the account of an atheist who once didn't believe in any existence after leaving this world. However, after a life-changing near-death experience, all their beliefs were completely turned upside down. Let's dive in and discover what happened and the incredible lessons from this story. Nathaniel Gray, a brilliant physicist with a sharp intellect, had long been a towering figure in the scientific community. Born and raised in a family where every aspect of life was explained through the lens of logic, Nathaniel never had room for what people called the supernatural or irrational. To him, the world only had clear scientific laws and principles that could be proven through experimentation. He grew up with the belief that science was the only light that could guide humanity out of the darkness of superstition and baseless myths. From his early years as a student, Nathaniel stood out as exceptionally different from his peers. Not only was he intelligent, but he also had the ability to analyze and explain natural phenomena in an incredibly clear and accessible way. Many considered him a genius who would change the field of physics forever. And indeed, his predictions and theories were proven correct in the groundbreaking research he conducted. He published dozens of influential scientific papers, received numerous prestigious awards, and was often invited to speak at major scientific conferences worldwide. Throughout his career, Nathaniel not only contributed to unraveling the mysteries of the universe but also spoke out strongly against religious beliefs, divine concepts, or any notions of life after leaving this world. He believed that all these ideas were merely products of human imagination, formed during times when science had not yet developed enough to explain the world. In one of his speeches at an international conference, he firmly declared, "Passing is the end. No heaven, no hell, nothing awaits us on the other side." This belief became his guiding principle throughout his life, a steadfast conviction that everything can be explained through science. But despite Nathaniel's life being built on a foundation of reason and knowledge, there was still no escaping the wonders that the world could bring. One cold winter night, as he was returning home from a successful scientific conference, disaster struck suddenly. As his car navigated a slippery curve on a quiet road, he lost control, crashing off the road and plummeting down a steep incline. The screeching sound of metal and shattering glass echoed through the quiet night, turning the car into a mangled mess. Everything around him became chaotic, and Nathaniel was trapped in the wreckage, motionless, with a searing pain that rendered him immobile. When rescue teams arrived, they found Nathaniel among the wreckage, severely injured, and his heart had stopped beating for several minutes. Although the medical staff did their utmost to revive him, it seemed like it was too late. Nathaniel was rushed to the hospital in critical condition, slipping into a deep coma. The doctors couldn't predict whether he would ever wake up, and this left his family, friends, and colleagues in despair. They looked at each other, knowing that a great mind had just departed, and all that remained was a void and unfortunate end to a life full of success. However, the miracles didn't stop there. In the endless darkness of his coma, Nathaniel was not truly unconscious as people thought. He felt something very strange, a mysterious transition from this world to an entirely different realm. No longer in the hospital, no longer in pain or fear, Nathaniel found himself standing before a massive door made of radiant light, the light so bright and powerful that it held his gaze. It was a feeling both magical and terrifying. He felt as if he was stepping into another dimension where all concepts of time and space were completely shattered. Everything around him seemed to dissolve, leaving only the door of light and an invisible presence that he could not explain. A voice echoed, gentle yet powerful, as if it came from some distant place he could not see. "Nathaniel Gray, you have denied me. Step through this door and see what the truth really is." The words were not just an invitation but also a challenge, as though the universe was waiting for him to open the mysteries that science could not explain. And in that moment, Nathaniel realized something. This was not the end, but the beginning of a completely new journey. A journey that would transcend all scientific theories, opening doors to things he had never imagined. Everything he had known about the universe and life suddenly felt insignificant, and he stood before a monumental choice: to continue down the path he had already set, or dare to step through this door of light to discover things that science could never explain. In his unconscious state, Nathaniel found himself standing in a strange realm unlike anything he had ever known. Before him stood a massive door made entirely of light, emanating an energy that was both radiant and soothing. Around him stretched an infinite void, a boundless space with no sky or ground, only a vast expanse of darkness speckled with faint, distant glimmers like faraway stars. A strange sensation crept into his mind, a blend of fear, curiosity, and reverence, emotions he had never encountered as a man of reason. Though he couldn't feel his body moving, Nathaniel realized he was being drawn closer to the door. The light it emitted wasn't blinding but penetrated deeply into his consciousness, illuminating every shadowy corner of his soul. As he stepped through the threshold, all familiar notions of time and space dissolved instantly. There was no gravity, no direction. Nathaniel found himself immersed in an invisible yet powerful current. In that moment, he was no longer himself but became part of an overwhelming cascade of memories flowing from an unknown source. These weren't just his memories but fragments from the lives of millions, perhaps billions, of others. He saw himself as a warrior in ancient times, a mother clutching her child for the last time in a ravaged village, an explorer stepping onto uncharted lands. These vivid, intricate images surged through him, so real and detailed that he couldn't distinguish his own memories from those of others. Amid this chaos, a voice resonated, filling the vast space around him. It was soft like a breeze yet carried a power that seemed to shake the fabric of the universe. "Nathaniel Gray," the voice called, gentle yet commanding, "you once denied me. You believed I did not exist. Now, behold the truth." Nathaniel looked around, realizing that the torrent of memories wasn't just a collection of human stories but the very essence of reality itself. He began to sense that there were truths far beyond the reach of science and logic, truths he had once scorned. Nathaniel was guided through a series of surreal visions, scenes so vivid and rich in meaning that they defied the boundaries of his previous understanding. As he stood in the middle of a vast, windswept field, the grass around him shimmered with an ethereal glow. Each blade of grass sparkled like millions of tiny lights, their delicate movements creating an almost melodic rhythm, as if the very earth was alive and whispering its secrets to him. The air was thick with a sense of quiet reverence, the wind carrying with it the faint hum of unseen forces. It was as if the field itself was a living, breathing entity, its every fiber resonating with the energy of the universe. In the distance, Nathaniel saw a river of light winding through endless valleys, stretching as far as the eye could see. This river of light emitted a strange radiance, each drop of water holding a unique universe, a treasure trove of memories, stories, and experiences of countless souls who had passed through this place. The light from the river not only illuminated the surroundings but seemed to penetrate Nathaniel's very being, making him feel the movement of time, the flow of moments, and the presence of beings that had lived through the ages. Each drop of water was like a story, holding life and passing, joy and pain. As he wandered deeper into this realm, he realized that he was not alone. The air around him was thick with the presence of countless other beings, their forms shifting and blending with the landscape in ways that defied description. These were not physical beings as he knew them, but rather presences, spirits, perhaps, or fragments of consciousness that filled the space with a profound sense of unity. It was as if every soul that had ever lived was present here, interconnected in a vast, cosmic web. Among the visions that surrounded him, Nathaniel began to see fragments of his own life. Memories that had once seemed trivial now unfolded before him with stunning clarity. He saw moments of joy, moments of pain, and every decision he had made along the way. But it wasn't just his personal experiences that played out before him. He could also see the ripple effect of his actions, the ways in which his choices had touched the lives of others, often in ways he had never fully understood. There was a moment when he saw himself, as a young man, brushing off the concerns of a colleague, thinking it was just a trivial matter, only to later realize that his dismissiveness had deeply hurt that person. He saw the small acts of kindness he had offered to strangers, those fleeting moments that seemed insignificant at the time but had brightened someone's day in ways he never knew. And then there were the moments he had forgotten, those simple, seemingly mundane exchanges that had, in fact, altered the course of someone else's life. He understood, perhaps for the first time, the full weight of his actions, and how even the smallest decision could create ripples in the lives of others, sometimes causing pain, sometimes bringing unexpected joy. Each memory unfolded like a delicate thread, weaving into the larger tapestry of existence. Nathaniel began to see that life was not just a series of isolated events, but rather a complex web of interconnectedness, where every individual, every choice, and every action played a role in the grand, intricate dance of the universe. The lives of others were not separate from his own, but intricately woven into the fabric of his own story, as he was woven into theirs. And then, in one moment, he saw a memory he had never expected, one that shook him to his core. It was a fleeting interaction with a stranger, someone he had passed on the street many years ago. He had barely acknowledged the person, perhaps a passing smile or a brief moment of eye contact. Yet in that brief instant, the stranger had been filled with a sense of hope, a fleeting reassurance that things might be okay, that life might just get better. Nathaniel had never known the impact of that moment. He had never realized that something so small to him had meant everything to someone else. These memories, each one, large or small, served as a mirror reflecting the complexity of life, the intricate web of connections that bound all people together. Nathaniel began to understand that his life, like every life, was not an isolated entity, but rather part of a much larger, infinitely complex system. Each action, no matter how seemingly insignificant, rippled out into the world, influencing and shaping the lives of others in ways that could never be fully understood or measured. As he stood there, lost in these visions, Nathaniel felt a profound sense of humility. All the scientific knowledge he had accumulated, all the theories and formulas he had devoted his life to, seemed suddenly small and insignificant in the face of this vast, interconnected web of existence. The world he had so carefully tried to understand through logic and reason was just one piece of a much larger puzzle, one that could not be fully explained by science alone. And in this realization, he felt a deep sense of awe and wonder, as though he was standing on the precipice of something far greater than anything he had ever imagined. Amidst these images, when everything around Nathaniel seemed to dissolve into an endless space, a mysterious figure suddenly appeared. It was a woman, with a presence both familiar and foreign, her deep eyes seeming to contain the entire universe within them. Her gaze could pierce through every thought, as if all the secrets of the world were laid bare before her. Her long hair, dark as a river at night, flowed gently over her shoulders, reflecting the light from distant stars, making it look like a small galaxy, shimmering under the boundless sky. She wore a magnificent cloak woven from both light and darkness, so intricately crafted that it was impossible to distinguish where the light ended and the darkness began. Her cloak swirled like a delicate cloud, perfectly blending into the surrounding space, as if she were a perfect combination of two worlds, the material world and the unseen one. As she spoke, her voice echoed through the space, gentle yet powerful, like the sound of a distant bell ringing, seeping into every cell of Nathaniel. "I am Celeste," she said, her eyes shining as though holding millions of galaxies. "The keeper of the threshold. This is the crossroads between life and passing, a place where only those chosen by fate can come." Celeste did not say anything more, but Nathaniel could sense that her words were not just a simple introduction. They carried a weight, a mission she had carried for a long time. The feeling was as if not only time but the very space around him had become blurry, merging in a strange dance of light and darkness, life and passing. Nathaniel felt as though he were lost in a realm beyond human comprehension. Celeste invited him to follow, and they began their journey through these enchanted scenes. Each place they visited seemed like a doorway to a different world, with sights Nathaniel could never have imagined. There were towering mountains, but at their base, a river that would never run dry, flowing calmly as if it were the river of time itself. There were ethereal forests, where each leaf emitted a sound like a soft melody, resonating with an ancient tune. And in each of these places, Celeste showed Nathaniel the souls not only of humans but also of other creatures, all intertwined in an invisible but powerful web. "These souls do not belong only to humans," Celeste explained, her voice telling a story that seemed as old as the stars themselves. "They are beings that have passed through, souls from different worlds. Every creature has its own network of connection, an invisible but strong flow. Though they may have different shapes or stories, ultimately, all of them converge into one point. All are connected." Nathaniel stood in awe, observing these souls, not as wandering ghosts, but as vibrant beings with unique forms and energies, flying freely through the air. There was a soul of a wolf, its eyes bright like stars, embodying strength and resilience. Another, the soul of a bird with vast wings, soared high above, symbolizing the pursuit of freedom. And yet another, a small but radiant being, like a flicker of flame in the dark, representing growth and creation. There is no action that is meaningless, Celeste continued, her gaze soft as she looked at Nathaniel, as if trying to impart a truth that could not be denied. Everything leaves a trace on the flow of reality. Every decision, no matter how small, creates an impact not just in this world but across other worlds as well. What we do, what we say, all of it plays a part in shaping the reality we live in. Nathaniel felt the profound truth in Celeste's words, a truth he had never considered before. The daily actions he had taken for granted, the offhand words he had spoken, now seemed to carry an immense weight. He looked back on his past, recalling choices he had made, and realized that everything had an effect, whether conscious or not. Every encounter, every decision, every choice, each one left its mark, a ripple on the river of time. Celeste continued to lead Nathaniel through wondrous spaces, where anything could happen. Each scene was a lesson in interconnectedness, showing how life and passing, presence and absence, constantly intersect and influence each other. From souls seeking peace to beings journeying through the unseen realms, everything was tied together in a vast network that humans could not see with their eyes, but could feel with their hearts. Everything, whether life or passing, was part of an endless circle, where every moment was significant and could never be undone. Celeste guided Nathaniel through strange and surreal scenes, each place carrying a beauty and mystery that defied all scientific explanation. First, they arrived in a glowing forest, where the space around them shimmered with a soft, ethereal light like the warm glow of sunset. The trees were unlike anything Nathaniel had ever seen, with odd, twisting branches that seemed to have a life of their own. The branches weren't just reaching towards the sky, they seemed to be trying to touch distant stars, immersing themselves in a space where time had no meaning. The air in the forest was fresh and pure, as though Nathaniel was breathing in the life essence of a world he had never known. The ground beneath his feet was soft, almost alive, humming with a gentle vibration as if the earth itself was breathing alongside him. As they ventured deeper into the forest, Nathaniel felt faint whispers coming from all directions. These whispers were not words, but the sounds of the trees, the nature, and everything living in this space. Each step seemed to bring him closer to a mystery that he could not comprehend. He didn't understand, but he could feel that this place held a profound connection to everything around him. After leaving the forest, Celeste led Nathaniel to a strange city, unlike any city he had ever known. The city had no ordinary streets or buildings, every wall was made from human memories. These memories were not just fleeting images, they were vivid, living recollections of emotions, moments of joy, sorrow, and the mundane yet meaningful experiences people had lived. When Nathaniel touched a wall, he could feel the emotions of the person who had once lived there: laughter, tears, happiness, and sighs of sadness. These memories were not static pictures but stories that came to life, as if an entire lifetime was unfolding before him. This city wasn't built from stone, it was built from the very essence of life itself, creating a space where past and present intertwined, and time itself became a blur. Finally, they reached an endless beach, where waves perpetually lapped at the shore, as though embracing the souls drifting on the surface of the water. This sea was unlike any ocean Nathaniel had ever known. The water wasn't salty but had a strange hue, blending shades of deep blue and silver, as if light was reflecting from a world beyond. On the surface of the water, souls floated aimlessly, like boats without anchors, without a clear destination. Nathaniel could see them, some serene, as if they had found peace, while others were anxious, seemingly waiting for another chance to begin anew. These souls didn't speak, they simply drifted on the vast ocean, each one carrying an unfinished story, a life that was not yet complete. Here time no longer holds meaning for the souls. There is no distinction between past, present, and future. These souls do not age, grow tired, or feel pain, they simply drift through infinity, waiting for a chance to be reborn, to return to the material world. Nathaniel felt as though he was witnessing the scattered pieces of an invisible universe, a world he had never considered before. In this space, every soul had its own unique role, a purpose in an eternal chain of events they could not fully understand. Each image, each expression on the faces of these souls, seemed to carry a message, even though they were silent. These souls were not separate entities, but rather part of an immense, invisible web connecting everything together, regardless of distance or time. These scenes continued to haunt Nathaniel. Gradually, he began to realize that the world he had once denied, the world of things unseen, things untouchable, truly existed. It was not merely a marvel, but an undeniable part of reality he had never sought. It was vast, complex, and far more mysterious than any scientific theory he had studied. These souls, though invisible, carried an immense power. They were irreplaceable pieces in the grand cosmic puzzle. Even without physical form, each soul, each memory, held a part of the entire existence. Nathaniel started to feel the invisible connection between all living things. He sensed a deep bond between humanity and these souls, between past memories and future possibilities. What he once thought only existed in the human mind had now become vibrant, colorful entities that he could clearly sense. Things he once believed to be mere material objects, things that could be explained by science, now appeared as parts of a much greater reality. Everything was interconnected, and Nathaniel began to realize that science could not explain everything. There was a world beyond, more beautiful and profound, not visible to the eye but filled with stories and lessons he had never imagined. This world, with all its mysteries, was waiting for him to explore. After experiencing countless wonders and witnessing unforgettable sights, Nathaniel found himself facing an important decision, one that could forever change his life. The world he was living in, full of incredible and mysterious things he had never seen before, had opened up a vast horizon of endless discoveries. With every step, every scene he encountered, it felt as though he was stepping into a fairy tale, where the unimaginable became reality. Distant planets soared through the winding paths of the universe, mythical creatures with powers far beyond anything he had ever imagined roamed the cosmos, and the deepest secrets of a world even the human mind could scarcely comprehend were laid before him. He had witnessed clouds that seemed alive, swirling into strange shapes, with colors constantly shifting like a painting with no boundaries. The sights and experiences made him feel like a part of a cosmic body, where every action, every thought could alter an entire galaxy. Every moment here was an adventure, and these bizarre occurrences seemed to pull him into a limitless space. Yet, despite the perfection of everything around him, Nathaniel realized that something was missing in this world. While the place contained endless wonders, strange creatures, and vast powers that defied all imagination, there was one thing that stood absent, a true reason for existence. As he gazed out into the vastness of the universe, the powerful sense of being a part of something grand made him feel both lost and uneasy. Everything around him seemed so perfect, so beyond his understanding, but deep within his heart, he couldn't ignore the fact that something was missing. There was a profound connection, something he had long been searching for, that was simply absent. The wonders he saw, while beautiful and mysterious, were not enough to fill the emptiness he felt inside. It was like a perfect painting, but missing the crucial details that would make it truly come alive. At the same time, memories of his old world began to flood back. He remembered his life, where things were not always easy, but filled with challenges and opportunities for growth. He thought of his family and friends, the people he had loved and shared joy and sorrow with. It was a simple world, but it was his world. Every morning, he rushed to work, facing difficulties and pressure, but it was also where he felt he could make a difference. The late-night conversations with friends, sharing stories of daily life, worries, or simply laughing together, had become an irreplaceable part of his existence. The feeling of being loved and needed was something he had never truly valued until he was far away from it. That old world, though not perfect, was the place where deep relationships and genuine emotions lived, something he couldn't find in the new world he was now in. Every decision, every action had meaning because it affected the people he cared about and those who needed him. It was a real world, where he didn't just live for himself, but for others. The mistakes he had made, the choices he regretted, were now opportunities for him to make amends, to reflect on life, and to find a deeper meaning. Returning was not an easy decision, but Nathaniel knew it was an opportunity to be reborn, to live a life with clearer purpose. Starting over didn't mean abandoning everything he had gone through, It meant learning from his mistakes, growing, and taking on more responsibility. He understood that his old world, though not as glamorous or mysterious as this new one, contained real relationships, simple things that were worth cherishing. He would return and try to rebuild what had been lost, living a life with meaning not just for himself, but for those he loved. The choice before him was a monumental challenge. Stay in this world of endless adventure, or return to the world he knew, where he would face hardship but also have the chance to make a meaningful impact. In a long moment of reflection, Nathaniel weighed everything he had experienced and what he could achieve if he returned. Ultimately, his decision was not based on logic, but on his heart. Nathaniel chose to return. He realized that although he would no longer live among the wonders he had discovered, it was love and connection that truly made life meaningful. He promised that he would no longer live solely for himself. He would dedicate his life to serving others, to living with purpose and responsibility. No matter the challenges, failures, or hardships, he vowed not to let his remaining days slip by meaninglessly. He would live in a way that brought value to the world, to those he loved, and to himself. Nathaniel woke up in the hospital. The first sensation he felt was a sharp pain in his head, as though it had been shattered into pieces. He opened his eyes, and the dim light of the hospital room made everything around him seem blurry, as if he were trapped in a waking dream he couldn't escape from. Along with the beeping of machines, he could hear the soft murmurs of doctors and nurses, but their voices seemed distant, coming from far away. His body felt drained, exhausted, and as he looked at his hands, he noticed the bandages wrapped around his wounds. It was a strange moment, awakening in a world so different from the one he had known at AS. He tried to come to terms with his present reality. Memories of his past experiences came rushing back like a powerful wave. The miraculous sights, the mysterious adventures in that far-off world, were now flashing through his mind. But the memories were not as clear as before. They seemed to fade away into the space and time around him. Every time he tried to write them down, they slowly became more distant, fragments of feelings and fleeting images that he could not quite capture. The only thing that remained was a deep and intense feeling, a sense that something greater, something profound, was waiting out there, beyond his understanding, something that he could not express in words. This feeling couldn't allow him to stop. Nathaniel knew he had to write everything down, to preserve the memories of the journey he had gone through. Slowly, he picked up a pen, his fingers trembling, and began to write. But as he wrote, the memories grew fainter, the details slowly slipping away, leaving a sense of emptiness behind. The more he wrote, the more distant the memories became, as if they were retreating into an impenetrable fog that he could never touch. All that was left was the overwhelming sensation of something grand beyond human comprehension. He realized that even if he couldn't fully grasp everything he had experienced, the feeling of purpose was becoming clearer and more present in his life. Even though he felt lost in this world, Nathaniel recognized that his previous life, a life without belief, without a grand purpose, could no longer satisfy the deeper needs of his soul. He remembered the days when he lived in apathy, with no thoughts of the future, simply living for himself. But now, after all that he had been through, Nathaniel began to feel that this wasn't the life he wanted. The wonders, the mysteries of the world he had explored not only opened up the secrets of the universe to him but also forced him to look inward. He realized that if he continued to live as he had before, he would forever be trapped in a cycle of meaninglessness. What he needed was something greater, a reason to live not just for himself but for others. With his newfound self-awareness and transformation in spirit, Nathaniel decided to abandon the godless, selfish lifestyle he had previously followed. He realized that, throughout his past life, he had only lived for himself, chasing fleeting pleasures and instant gratification, never truly seeing or caring about the people around him. But now, he understood that life wasn't just a series of short moments to satisfy oneself, it was a journey tied to intangible values, connections that each of our actions could create for the community as a whole. Determined to change, Nathaniel began searching for a new path, one that didn't solely lead toward personal dreams but a journey in search of a deeper connection with the world around him. He joined charitable organizations, stepping into impoverished communities to find ways to help them. He didn't just stop at financial contributions but also wholeheartedly engaged in direct actions, assisting those in need in their everyday struggles. Each time he volunteered to distribute rice to poor families or organized free lessons for children, Nathaniel felt a clear sense of change. Even if it was small, it was meaningful. He wasn't just giving material things, he was offering hope, love, and all the goodness he had come to understand within himself. Gradually, Nathaniel no longer lived for himself. He began to realize that life wasn't just about racing toward career success, wealth, or personal goals. Every action, no matter how small, could create change within the community. A smile, a handshake, or a word of encouragement during difficult times could change someone's fate. He started to see that life only truly had meaning when it was connected to greater things, when one dedicates themselves to others, to values beyond personal vision. As the days passed, Nathaniel began to feel a profound change in his soul. Each day, each step, he felt himself moving closer to the truth of a meaningful life. Though the memories of the magical world he had once experienced were fading with time, the images of brilliant lights and mystical beings had become distant shadows in his mind. The feeling of something vast, beyond his comprehension, still lingered within him. It seemed that every time he saw the eyes of an orphan receiving a small gift, or when he helped a grieving family through their pain of loss, he felt as if there were still miracles in the world, not in the form of cosmic lights or mysterious beings, but through the good actions that people could offer one another. The humanitarian projects Nathaniel took part in not only helped others but also helped him realize that it was compassion and dedication to others that truly gave meaning to life. He was no longer just someone living alone in his own world, but a part of a community where each person could contribute to meaningful change. For him, this was not just about superficial acts, it was a crucial part of building a life of value. From that point onward, Nathaniel began living a life full of sacrifice and love. Each day, for him, became an opportunity to change the world for the better, whether through small actions or significant changes. He understood that life wasn't always easy, but challenges and hardships were opportunities to grow and find one's true purpose in life. And when he looked at the hopeful faces of those he had helped, he realized that was the greatest reward he could ever receive in this lifetime. Nathaniel's life continued to evolve in ways he never imagined. After returning to the real world, he threw himself into humanitarian work, participating in projects that not only helped those in need but also gave him a deeper sense of purpose. Every day, he learned new lessons about compassion, sacrifice, and the value of giving to those around him. However, one day, as he woke from a strange dream, Nathaniel realized something he never expected. In that dream, the door of light, the very one he had seen when entering that wondrous world, appeared once again. This time, it wasn't fleeting, it was clear and vivid, almost as if it were waiting for him to step through. Even though the memories of that world had started to fade with time, the image of the door remained unchanged. Every time he closed his eyes, it would reappear, its light glowing brightly and pulling him in, making him feel as though something grand awaited him on the other side. He began to wonder if his journey had truly come to an end, or if everything he had experienced was just the beginning. Perhaps the life he was living now was only a small part of a much larger plan that he couldn't yet fully comprehend. Could that door be a call from another world, where his journey would continue? And would he have the courage to step through it, leaving behind everything he had built to explore what greatness awaited him? Thank you for taking the time to watch today's video. We hope the story we shared has offered you fresh insights and intriguing perspectives on life, belief, and the mysteries of the afterlife. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any future videos. Once again, thank you, and we'll see you in the next story.